Let's talk about each of the sensors in a little more detail, starting with the accelerometer. The accelerometer measures lateral movement of the phone in any direction, represented by three axes, X, Y, and Z. The accelerometer is a piece of hardware inside the phone that measures this motion. Technically, it doesn't measure movement directly, it measures acceleration. So what this means is the phone can tell if it's been moved in a certain direction by seeing if it's accelerated in that direction, but it can't tell how far it moved in that direction just from the accelerometer data. Also, when you're holding a phone motionless in your hand, you're actually applying a force to hold the phone up against the force of gravity. And this force gets measured by the accelerometer, so the phone can tell which way gravity is pulling it. So because the phone knows which way gravity is pulling it, it knows which way is up, which is how it does things like flip the screen around, like when you're looking at a picture or a web page and you flip the phone over. After a moment, the image flips around again so the image is right side up. Interestingly, the only time it will measure zero acceleration on all three axes is if it's in free fall, like if you dropped it out of a plane or something. The way this works from the perspective of an app running on the phone is when an app wants to start using data from the accelerometer, the app tells the phone that it wants to start using that data, and the accelerometer will then start passing the app updates at given intervals with the new data at every interval. And then the app can process those updates or save them and process them later or do whatever it wants with them. The accelerometer is extremely sensitive, so any amount of movement at all will be picked up. Even if you're holding it in your hand and you think you're holding it totally stationary, the accelerometer will pick up all the little tiny movements that are too small for a person to detect. This means the signal from the accelerometer is extremely noisy because you get all these little tiny movements included, even if you're only interested in the larger movements. The accelerometer response rate is also extremely fast. The accelerometer can provide updates to an app as many as 100 times a second. What this means is that it's pretty difficult to work with the accelerometer directly because there is so much data and noise involved. So to process the signal tends to be pretty complex stuff. Next, we'll talk about how the accelerometer hardware actually works to measure when the phone moves.